Israelites, this is 3 o'clock p.m. And that is the exact, precise time in the detail that Jesus was sacrificed on the cross. Matthew 27:48 through 52. And there you have the Passover lamb, the prophetic fulfillment, fulfilled in the crucifixion of the Christ. Well, there's more. The Passover lamb was to be eaten with bitter herbs. Well, Jesus endured the bitterness of the cross and was even offered sort of a painkiller with that hyssop branch, just as the Israelites were to take the hyssop branch to apply the blood. The Passover lamb had to be finished by the morning. Why? Because on resurrection morning, Jesus would say, for resurrection morning, Jesus would say, "It is finished." There's nothing left, and there cannot be anything left. Why? Because it must be finished. Why does it need to be finished? Because it is finished. There's nothing more. There's nothing left. And that's why nothing could be left until morning. The Passover lamb would save them from the death to the firstborn. Jesus saves those who are born again in the second birth. I know that's kind of a gnarly way of saying it, but I think you understand what it is that I'm trying to say here. Don't you find it as a coincidence? Not. That this would be a sparing, a saving of the firstborn. By who? The firstborn of God. The only begotten Son of God. There's so many parallels here, and time doesn't permit, but be that as it may, the Passover lamb was not to have any bones broken. Do you realize that there was a prophecy that none of his bones would be broken? Well, wait a minute. What about when we celebrate the Passover with the communion table? We say, "This is my body." You know, when we partake of the bread, "This is my body broken for you." Okay, listen. It wasn't his bones that were broken. It was his body, his skin that was broken, that was pierced, that was bludgeoned, that the blood would be shed. Not one bone was broken. No bone on this Passover lamb could be broken because, again, it would ruin the typology. Now, we'll talk about this in the next feast, but the bread had to be without leaven. Why? Because leaven in the Scriptures is a picture of sin. And we'll see that again here momentarily. Verse 6. On the 15th day of the same month is the feast of unleavened bread to the Lord. 7 days you must eat unleavened bread. On the first day you shall have a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it, but you shall offer an offering made by fire to the Lord for 7 days. The 7th day shall be a holy convocation. You shall do no customary work on it. Now, this is the Feast of Unleavened Bread. What is the prophetic picture in the Feast of Unleavened Bread? The Feast of Unleavened Bread is a prophetic picture of Christ's burial. The Passover, a prophetic picture of Christ's crucifixion. The Feast of Unleavened Bread, a prophetic picture of Christ's burial. Now, there's an interesting tradition amongst the Jews, practiced till this day at the Passover meal, in how they celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Let me just share with you these parallels and this prophetic picture. At the Passover meal, they have 3 pieces of unleavened bread for the Feast of Unleavened Bread to take place on the 15th day. The 3 breads represent the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Trinity, the triune nature of God. Now, this matzah bread, as it's called, in the center, the second one, is then broken into two pieces. The second matzah represents Jesus' body that was broken, not his bones, his body. The matzah bread now is 2 pieces of one bread. Jesus was 2. He was both fully God and fully man, and still is. I think it jams a lot of our Christian gears because we've tidied up the cross. We've tidied up the crucifixion. I mean no disrespect when I say this, but you know, when we hang our necklaces with the cross on it, I mean, if you really want to nor the truth, and be true to what the cross represented, go get a necklace of an electric chair. How crude is that? Because that's what it represented. It was capital punishment. It was a form of putting to death an individual. And that's what the cross represented. Now, why do I say that? Well, I say that because we're told in the scriptures that when we behold Satan, we're just going to be blown away at how beautiful he is. He's going to be astonishingly beautiful, breathtaking. We're going to be taken back and, oh my, this is the one who deceived the nations? I don't appreciate how Satan is depicted in our culture today. He's depicted as a cartoon character with these red tights and this pitchfork. And he's as if to not be real. No, he's very real. You know, when I came to a saving knowledge of Jesus Christ in January of 1982, I first came to the reality that Satan was real before I came to the realization that Jesus was real. See, Satan was real in my life, and he was destroying my life. He was roaring around, roaming like a lion, seeking to devour me, and he was succeeding quite smashingly well, I might add, when Jesus saved me. But I knew Satan was real. He's not a red pitchfork cartoon character, and even these depictions of him as being this, evil looking horns, and no way. Satan never appears to you and says to you, "Hi, I'm the devil and I'm here to destroy your life." That was pretty bad, I know, but you'll never forget it. You'll always remember that dorky illustration of when I tried to impersonate Satan. No, he appears as an angel of light. He appears as an angel of light. And you'll think it's right. Satan is going to be beautiful. He was a beautiful creation. He was a very intelligent creation. And we're going to behold him, and we're just going to be blown away by him, and we're going to say of him, "That's him?" Now, conversely, when we behold the Lamb that was slain, we're going to see him as a lamb that was slain. And it's going to be brutal. And we're going to be aghast at the horror of what he endured for us. And just as we're going to be mesmerized by Lucifer, Satan, the devil, we're going to be repulsed by the Lamb who was slain. That's too high for my understanding. In my finite mind, I cannot get my mind around that. I'm trusting that on that great and final day when I see my Jesus and I behold him and I see him face to face, I'm going to be able to handle it. And I'm just going to fall down and worship him. I won't be able to do anything else. I'm just going to worship him. When Letu said, "Hey, say to your neighbor, glory in the highest." The thought came to my mind, I can't wait to say to him, face to face before the throne, on my face before him, glory. Glory in the highest. Because I'm going to behold him as the Lamb that was slain. So now you've got two pieces of one bread, representing the dual nature of Christ, fully God, fully man. Now the larger of the two pieces is called the afikomen. And the afikomen in the Greek language is a word that some believe means I came or I have come. Now this is again how they celebrate the Feast of Unleavened Bread today. The afikomen is wrapped in a cloth and hidden, just as Jesus was wrapped in a burial cloth and hidden in the tomb. Now, these young Jewish children would run and race to find the hidden Afikomen, and if they found it, they would receive a prize. Do you see where that's going? So we come to Jesus as a child, run the race, and receive the prize. There's more, but I think that says a lot. The Apostle Paul, in his first letter to the Corinthian church, chapter 5, verses 6 through 8, said, "Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump." This is a good verse for your refrigerator if you want. That ye may be a new lump. I don't know if there's any worship songs that, title, let's all rise and sing hymn number 562, that ye may be a new lump. Hey, we might be onto something here. Anyway, that ye may be a new lump as ye are unleavened. For even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us. Therefore let us keep the feast, not with the old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. Do you realize that every time we partake of the Lord's Supper, we are celebrating the Passover meal? We are celebrating, when we pass out, oh, by the way, I guess we can't say that anymore. When we give you those cardboard wafers I don't know if they're really food or not, but that's okay. And that is a symbol of unleavened bread. And that is a celebration of this feast. Christ's burial, Christ's body broken for us. Verse 9. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come in the land which I give to you and reap its harvest, then you shall bring a sheaf of the first fruits of your harvest to the priest. He shall wave the sheaf before the Lord." I love this. Again, here's the detail. Okay, this is the Feast of First Fruits, which we'll talk about in more detail in a moment. But you know, when the priests would do the wave offering, this is the first mention of the wave. Yeah. No, it's not. The wave was up, down, left, right, north, south, east, west, in the shape of a cross. That's how they were to bring this grain offering, the first fruits of their income, that which had come out of the ground. Put that in your hip pocket, because that's what this feast speaks to in its prophetic picture. So the priest shall wave it. And verse 12, you shall offer on that day, when you wave the sheaf, a male lamb of the first year without blemish as a burnt offering to the Lord. Its grain offering shall be 2/10 of an ephah of fine flour mixed with oil, an offering made by fire to the Lord for a sweet aroma. And its drink offering shall be of wine, 1/4 of a hin. You shall eat neither bread nor parched grain nor fresh grain until the same day that you have brought an offering to your God. It shall be a statute forever throughout your generations in all your dwellings. Okay, so the Feast of First Fruits is the third of the 7 feasts, and it's a prophetic picture of the resurrection of Jesus Christ coming up out of the ground, as the Israelites were to bring what would come up out of the ground, the first fruits, as an offering, and the priest was to offer it as a wave offering in the shape of a cross, and a perfect and complete prophetic picture in just these first 3 of the 7 feasts: Passover, unleavened bread, and first fruits, the death, burial, and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And that's what everything pointed to. Again, the Apostle Paul alludes to this, 1 Corinthians 15, verses 20 through 24. He says, "But now Christ has been raised from the dead, the first fruits of those who are asleep." Now, this is not a soul sleep. This is a bodily sleep. When we talk about the first resurrection, it's not our souls that are resurrected, it's our bodies that are resurrected. This is a bodily resurrection. So, those who are asleep, for since by a man, speaking of Adam, came death, by a man, speaking of Jesus, the second and final Adam, also came the resurrection of the dead. For as in Adam all die, so also in Christ all shall be made alive, but each in his own